All right, so we're going to go through Chapter 8 of Lord of the Flies. Just a quick summary. Talk about the important aspects that happen in this chapter. Starts out with Jack and Ralph, right, the two Biggins, the leaders, confirming that they did indeed see the beast. And then this also starts with Jack making a play again for Chief. His problem is he has an open vote, and he asks everyone that thinks Ralph shouldn't be chief anymore to raise their hand. And what happens? He gets handed a big plate of humiliation because nobody raises their hands. What does he do? He runs off. He says, I'm not going to play any longer, not with you. It's an interesting thing to say. It's as if this whole thing, being trapped on the island, is some sort of game to him, and he doesn't like the game anymore. He's taking his ball and going home. He says, I'm going off by myself. The interesting thing is that, well, first of all, Piggy's happy. Jack's gone. He thinks he's not going to have to deal with him anymore, so he doesn't mind this. Simon, who still is pretty sure there is no beast, right? He suggests they go up to the top of the mountain and then they check. Nobody wants to do that. What do they decide to do? They say, we're not going to keep a fire up there anymore because that thing is up there. We're going to make a fire down here. So that's what they do. Now, while all this is happening, some of the kids slowly start to sneak away. They sneak away to go join Jack. Why they didn't openly vote for Jack, we don't know. Maybe they were ashamed of it. They didn't want anyone to know that they're aligning themselves with a jerk. They don't want their peers to know that they support someone that's a bad guy. So they do it in secret because they're ashamed. But they do it anyway, all right? They go off and join Jack. Now that Jack's got his own little tribe, he declares himself chief. And he starts to do some interesting things for a quote-unquote civilized kid to do. First, he says there is no beast. Or he says, forget the beast. And then he says, when we kill a pig, we're going to leave part of it for the beast. And then it won't bother us, maybe. It's a very primitive practice, right? You got back in the day, natives are worried a volcano is going to erupt and the gods are angry. So what do? They go and throw someone in it every once in a while, keep the gods happy. You got something similar going on here. We're going to leave part of our kill as a sacrifice so the beast will leave us alone. And the other kids are agreeing to this. It should be noted that when they do kill a pig, what do they kill? They don't kill a strong adult male pig, right? They kill a mother pig as she's nursing her babies, right? She's weak, she can't get away really quick, and that's the animal they kill. And it's a pretty brutal scene, right, of them killing this pig. It's savage. We're not going to go over it. Only to say that once it's over, they're joking around about it. They're throwing the pig's blood at each other. They're rubbing the blood on each other's faces. Real act of savagery. And who's witnessing all of this unbeknownst to everyone else? Simon. Simon goes off on his own and he inadvertently witnesses the murder of this pig. How it affects him, does it traumatize him? Well, we'll see what happens to him later in the chapter. There's something that Jack says that I want you to remember because it's going to come up again. I want you to remember what it means. He tells another kid to sharpen a stick at both ends. Remember that line, because that line happens again. What's that stick for? Well, one end's going to be stuck in the ground. The other end, they're going to stick the pig's head on it. Jack says, the head is for the beast. It's a gift. So whether they're seeing the beast as a creature that could kill them or some kind of god, they're offering this as a gift to the creature so it leaves them alone. So what happens then? They all leave. They go off with their kill, and Simon's left alone staring at the head of the pig. Right? Now some weird stuff starts to happen. The pig's head starts to talk to Simon. Or does it? Do we really know? We do know this. It says on page 138, in Simon's right temple, a pulse begins to beat on the brain. That's the beginning of a seizure. We know that he passes out, that he has seizures, and he starts to have one now, right? And during this event is when the pig's head starts talking. And what is the pig head doing? It's warning Simon. It's threatening Simon. It's warning him. It says, you think you know everything, kid, but you don't. You can't kill the beast. Why? Because the beast is in every one of us. What does that mean? First of all, page 143 says he knew one of his times was coming on. That's referring to his seizures, right? And the pig head says to him, you knew, didn't you? I'm part of you. Close, close, close. I'm the reason why it's no-go, why things are the way they are. What is he really trying to say? He's saying that you can't have a decent civilization because it's made up of people. And we've talked about this before in other books. You can't have a decent society when the thing that makes up the society is people, and people are flawed. That's putting it nicely, right? People are evil, people are messed up. And that's what's happening here. And he warns Simon, this is foreshadowing, if you try to tell the others, you're gonna die, right? He says it. He says, or else we shall do you. That means kill you. See, Jack and Roger and Maurice and Robert and Bill and Piggy and Ralph, do you see? It's a warning to Simon. Does Simon listen to them? This is an illusion, all right? There's several things going on here that we need to talk about. First of all, back in the day, it was a belief that people that had seizures were somehow more spiritual, that maybe they had a line directly to God, right? When they were having these seizures, it was really them being overcome with either godlike powers or demonic powers, right? Depending on which way they saw it. There's a story from the Bible where Jesus is walking through the desert, and the whole time the devil is with him, and the devil is whispering in his ear, creating doubt, saying, if you try and spread your message, you're going to die, you're going to get hurt. Nobody wants to hear you. Nobody wants to know what you have to say. Nobody believes it. If you try and say these things, you're going to be killed, right? And this is supposed to put doubt in Jesus' head. All right, and Jesus goes on anyway and delivers his message. What happens to Jesus after that? If you know the stories, right, he's crucified. He dies. So I want you to think about this story in terms of Simon and what the pig is saying to Simon this whole time. A couple other things that occur in here. Once they kill the pig, Jack returns to Ralph, right? He's painted up now. His face is painted. And it says in here, and you're going to read that article about masks, so I want you to know how this applies. It says on page 140, he's safe from shame or self-consciousness behind the mask of his paint and can look at each of them in turn. He invites them to a feast, the kids that weren't part of the hunt. We're having a feast. We've killed a pig and we've got meat. You can come and eat with us if you'd like. And then one of the other kids says, the chief has spoken, right? And they run away. I want you to think about why he's so much braver when he's wearing the face paint, wearing the mask, what that means. Because now him and the rest of his hunters are also wearing face paint. Some of it's blood of the pig, some of it's paint they made themselves, and they're wearing it, right? And I want you to think about why they're able to do the things they're doing now, the awful things, right? Like what they did to this pig.